Hello. What I'd like to provide you today is something a little different than most of my tutorials. And I want to give you an experience which is, I think, different, that involves using some of an example of the newer digital note-taking services and in combination with AI. And what my kind of personal interest is in this note-taking AI combination happens to be in thinking through and maybe modeling how this combination can be applied as a tutor for students. So I have my own personal use for these tools, but what I'm proposing is I'm using my personal experiences to imagine how college students and maybe high school students could kind of switch over from what they do more traditionally to using digital note-taking and AI to study. And the model I often use is to say, well, imagine this combination functioning as a tutor. You know, what things a human tutor does could an AI based tutor do, and what would it take to get you to the point that would be a practical option for a student. What you see here is one of the AI slash note taking systems I use. It's called Mem.ai. And what appears on the screen at this point is the home screen. So you see kind of references to older notes I've taken, and I'll show you what a note looks like. So you see the notes can be basically, I guess, as long as you want. They tend to be shorter, actually, in kind of the system or the approach that I use. A couple of things about these notes maybe are important to notice. Let me go back again. In that they have titles and tags. And again, by analogy, I'm thinking, okay, so what would a student maybe do taking advantage of titles and tags? And I imagine a college student in a class maybe taking some number of separate notes or one long note for a class, and something about that date or whatever of the class would be the title. But then to keep track of their notes, if they're doing it across multiple courses, they would, among other tags, use a tag that indicated the course for which the note applies. And I typically would probably think and the test that the note was taken in preparation for. So I often use intro psych as an example, having taught that course many times. Psych 1, for example, would be a tag you would add to all notes you took in preparation for your first exam. And the idea then is that I could use the AI capabilities to focus on my notes for the first exam. So I want to kind of show you how that would work. Now, let me switch over here. Oops, let me see if I can move me out of the way here a little bit. So I have a couple of prompts here that I might apply in this context. A couple of very useful things, or one particular thing that you can ask the AI slash tutor to do would be to ask you questions. And you can control, in this AI system, in the Mem.ai system, I can ask questions that are open-ended, which I prefer. or I could ask it to ask me multiple choice questions, and I could respond to those questions and then get feedback. That's kind of what I want to demonstrate, how that goes. So I'm going to just copy this here so you don't have to watch me type it since I'm here. And then I'm going to go back to my AI system, and I'm going to activate chat. So I'm getting away, and so I have this opportunity now to chat, and I'm going to enter the prompt, which says, okay, I want to think about and respond to questions about the notes that I have tagged with screen paper. So, okay, that probably doesn't make any sense to anybody else, but it's the equivalent of Psych 1, which is a group of notes. Screen paper happens to be the notes that I've taken about what I call the screen versus paper controversy, that maybe a lot of people kind of recognize. It's, are you better off reading for comprehension content presented on a screen or in a book? That's one version of it, and clearly that's important for educators and students. And a second version of that controversy would be, are you better off taking notes on a laptop, which would be screen, or in a notebook, which would be by hand on paper? So anyway, that's just the general set of ideas that my notes on this topic address. So I'm going to ask, give me a question about this kind of topic. So I input the prompt, and it's looking at the notes. You kind of see how specific it gets here. I've summarized a journal article by Delgado and colleagues from 2018, and it tells me a little bit about that note. Says, well, okay, they didn't find any differences for basically informational texts, which would be, it's called expository text, or information text, or narrative text, which would be what you might make equivalent to pleasure reading, fiction books. That would be a narrative. And so the research says, okay, we've looked at a lot of studies in this area. We found differences favoring paper, by the way, in the informational text, but we haven't found differences for narrative text. What's your take on this? And at least the explanation, is I understand this, and it makes sense. One of the explanations is that when we read narratives or stories, stories typically are more engaging, more emotionally generating. That's the mechanism of engagement. They're interesting, whatever. And we don't necessarily have the same reaction to information. The rest of the argument goes that, okay, so the problem with reading from a screen is something called the shallowing hypothesis, which proposes that we do so much reading looking at a screen, text messages, we scroll through a whole bunch of stuff, and we're so used to skimming that we transfer this somewhat inferior reading strategy, even when we're truly trying to read, to understand, and maintain. So it's skimming is what I would call it. You might call it. They call it the shallowing hypothesis. And so let's see if that's what I remember. Um, so basically, it's supporting what I knew to be in the note. In fact, I guess I can show you this up here under the question, and and it shows me the note that it referenced, and that's actually very useful. It's not very useful in terms of forcing me to try to remember and try to explain. But as a follow-up activity, this would be a great follow-up for a student. So you try to answer the question, you try to give your take, and then you reread the note that you took after originally reading that material. So that's nice about this way of using AI, unlike generic AI, or what I call generic AI, which is will respond based on the large amount of material the AI was trained on. This says, okay, you can use that in terms of the way you use language, but I want you to focus on the information from specific texts, and it does even better than that. It goes through those texts and then shows me what it used in order to come up with its response to me. Good, I think, learning opportunities here. You're discussing something, you're trying to remember something, you're getting feedback on what you said, plus just the simple feedback, you're getting the opportunity to actually reread content that the AI system feels is relevant. So as you can see, it's going to continue to ask me questions, engaging in what would actually be a discussion or a chat, as the AI folks call what this interactive back and forth experience is like. Good way to think about it, perhaps. And I should maybe add one more thing quickly. Let's say, okay, I understand that. I don't need to talk about it anymore. I can take back control and please, oops, I keep hitting the wrong button here. Please so I could, as I would with an adult trying to help me, okay, so we've only got so much time, can we go on to a different topic? That's all I'm doing here. And so I can then ask the AI service to kind of go at something else. And so it's going to do that. All right, so the whole point here was what would one of these experiences look like? So whatever you have used AI for, or maybe you haven't used it, thinking about interacting with the AI system, trying to approximate what interacting with a human tutor would be like and how it might benefit you as a learner. What I'm trying to provide here is what this actually feels like or looks like as you do it. Interesting in doing this in comparison to other tutorials is that you don't have any idea what it's going to do. So this is more about the feel than a how to do it experience that I'm trying to give you here. One other thing perhaps to say in conclusion, if you're interested in this specific note-taking and AI system, it's called Mem.ai. You can play with it a bit for no cost. I pay $8.33 a month. It's a strange number, I know, but it's based on, I suppose, what the yearly fee would be, subscription fee would be. And it seems to me to be, a very powerful system. I think useful at this cost point, but but I think it's worth looking at. I think it's worth looking at this general idea of what is AI good for in education, and there are clearly lots of different kinds of things that it can do, and it can help with, and maybe it can do things that students should be doing for themselves. But studying, I think, is an opportunity here, and that's kind of what I've tried to demonstrate. And thanks for your time.